Is it possible to dual boot two OSes at the same time? Is it possible to dual boot two OSes at the same time? For example, I'm currently dual booting Ubuntu 11.04 and Windows 7. Ubuntu is running on a single 500 GB HDD. Windows 7 is running on 1 TB RAID 1 mirror. To switch between the two OSes, a reboot is required. Is it possible to switch between the two OSes without a reboot? Note: I'm fully aware of the capabilities of VirtualBox and VMware Player. I use both. Please don't answer use virtualization. Edit: if this is not possible, can you share why it's not possible? To me, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult. Keep in mind that my vision is unencumbered by knowledge.
Most, if not all, mainstream operating systems expect to have exclusive access to the host computer's low-level functionality, e.g., hardware, ports etc., and do not have any concept of sharing with anything else. It just won't work. So to try and run two OS simultaneously on the same system requires some form of transparent arbitrator to shield the operating systems from each other, in other words, a virtualization application.
You seem to be dismissing Hyper-V and Zen, so-called bare metal hypervisors, even though they're closest to what you seem to be asking for. Yes, it's virtualization, but not in the same way that VirtualBox works. Imagine something like VirtualBox was its own operating system, so you could install a tiny VirtualBox OS, and then run Windows and Ubuntu side by side as virtual machines on top of the VirtualBox OS. Well, that's essentially what Hyper-V or Zen do. It's just a thin virtualization layer between the hardware and the guest operating systems, and it's as close as you can get to directly running them side by side with existing hardware and existing operating systems. You don't need a separate server for either of these. You just install the hypervisor as if it was the first operating system on the machine, and then add Windows and Ubuntu as virtual machines under the hypervisor. Both Zen and Hyper-V will run Ubuntu and Windows as guest operating systems, although it may not be a supported configuration. Zen is more Linuxy and Hyper-V is an MS product, so I'd suggest picking the hypervisor based on whichever OS you're more comfortable with.
The closest thing you could do is make use of hibernation. Unfortunately, the operating systems are alien enough to each other that there is no way for both OSs to be running at the same time without implementing virtualization. Honestly, virtualization isn't as bad as you think anymore. Especially when you are using a virtualization platform that supports the VT extensions. The guest OSs get the ability to communicate directly with hardware and have much better memory mapping and such. I've actually set up a guest OS installed directly on a SSD, and it ran faster than the host OS.
Here's the simple, short reason the answer is no. What software would control your hardware? If OS 1 does it, then you are not running OS 2. If OS 2 does it, then you are not running OS 1. If they both do it, then some other software would have to mediate their shared access to the physical hardware, and that's virtualization, which you ruled out.
Somebody needs to say, please consider this.